We all want to be that sage master who always says the right thing, who is ready to take advantage of every opportunity that comes their way. We all want to be that suave and graceful hero that knows exactly what to do at exactly the right moment. We all want to know the answers to the questions and have all that great advice to be delivered at just the right time. But instead, we're usually too busy overthinking, anxious, worried, confused, fearful, or frustrated, or just plain awkward and sometimes a little clumsy. Maybe that's just me. And when we get into those moods, we have a tendency to be at war with ourselves way more than we ever want to admit. And the strange part is we're actually designed that way. And we're made to have this internal conflict so that when we're tested, we can see how we handle our light and our shadow sides. Yes, we have both, and we have to learn how to keep them balanced. We need this internal conflict to learn how to build our character from it. It gives us multiple opportunities to choose how we want to stand in our integrity and really how we want to define our standards. So we know that this battle is part of every human experience. Philosophers and poets have written about this for centuries. It's as old as time. And yet we each have to learn how to win this battle within ourselves and really conquer it. So here's the deal. Because we know this is a human trait and we have to deal with this on our own, there are sometimes individuals around us that will push us into battle with ourselves. And unfortunately, it's a way that distracts us and deflects from our goals. And whether we understand it or not, and whether they understand it or not, that it's conscious, it does happen. And you need to know not to take this personally, even though on the surface it feels very personal. It's kind of a twisted way that misery does in fact love company and they need it to survive. And it's a way to make you not have any goals. And unfortunately, this can happen with friends and family or close friends and family. And it sometimes also happens with social norms that might have us shy away from conventional thinking, but it's usually the unconventional thinking that creates the innovators. And so those of us that are brave enough to carve out our own path and make ways for ourselves are the ones that can lead the way. And that's what this video really wants to talk about, of how can we win that battle within and know that it's not really us, it's what's put on us. So let's get into it. So the battle within is when you're fighting conditioning that you've been nurtured with that no longer resonates with your nature. So your natural inclinations are actually calling out within you to do something different. And so what's happening is that you're battling what you were nurtured and conditioned to do, to think, to believe, versus the natural inclinations that want to now step forward. So it's actually not you, it's your mind that's been programmed a very long time ago with beliefs and outdated notions that you're fighting against. And you're fighting against the old versus the new and what you want to embark on. And it's really that comfort zone wanting you to stay put, while that internal animal inside of you is fighting to get out of the cage. So if it's not you, then where are you at? And typically, when we're in our internal battle, we're actually in the muck and the mire, and we're trying to referee these two things within us. And that never works. We just get bounced back and forth between the two, and it just doesn't solve any problems. So imagine a manager who has two employees that are fighting, and that manager decides to get right in the middle and to take both sides. That sounds really silly. Like, how are you going to be able to do anything if you're bouncing back to either side to try and figure out what the best solution is? But that's what we do when we bounce between our head and our heart. And I've known this all too well. I've been in this position for many years, and I've wasted plenty of time doing this. And so how do you get out of this position? And I'm glad you asked. Think about someone you admire, a person who is wise, who is a great boss, or a powerful leader, or a really good impartial judge. What they're doing is that they're sitting above the fray, and they're actually able to stay very calm, very neutral, and observe both sides to make a clear decision that's in alignment with what is happening, or the overall best solution for the situation. Those that make really good decisions are in alignment with themselves. They have a very clear vision. They know what they want, which is what the heart desires, and they know how to task their mind to be that faithful servant to logically help them create the solutions to their problems. Einstein famously quoted, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant." So once we learn how to employ our natural senses with our vision, we can get the results we want. It's time to get in alignment with our head and our heart, and it's time to learn how to win that battle once and for all. And so, as I mentioned before, we are designed this way. So that means we just need to learn how to operate with our tendencies and develop our own self-mastery. We need to learn how to redirect those emotional waves that can overtake us and reroute those intrusive thoughts that want to hold us hostage. So remember, emotions are really just messengers that need to give us information about what it is that we need. And those thoughts that come through, it's the first thought that is a radical agent we don't have any control over, but we do have control over the second thought that comes in, or the second thought that we want to have. And so the mental battle is that fight of someone else's thoughts, obligations, and opinions that have been put on you. It's a battle of what could be, it's worries over things that we have no proof over. And the emotional battle is a fight of emotions that pop up and they get held onto instead of just taking the message and letting them go back out into the wild. And again, we're struggling with how we were nurtured and not feeling like we're free to allow our own nature to flourish. We want to be able to release the bondage that others have put on us. Maybe they understood it, maybe they didn't, and be able to move towards a new path. And that's why it's not about you, it's what's been placed on you. And so we want to be able to have that objective perspective so that you can start to see what's happening that's going on inside of you to make those better judgments. It's actually your job to acknowledge what all of this is, sort it out, and then decide what's in your best interest so that you can align to what it is that you really want and go for it without any resistance. So let's break down how to win this battle within. When you're in alignment and you're sitting in a higher perspective with a clear vision, you can see both your thoughts and your emotions, and then you're going to be able to know where to direct them. And to get into this place, you need to have a neutral position. You need to be in this neutral place. And everyone pushes this idea of happiness, but that's just another emotion that can come in and out. What I think you should strive for is peace. And it's that calmness and that neutrality that allows for clear thinking and precise decision making. So let's talk a little bit about energy in physics. So in physics, you have something called potential energy. And it's that type of energy that is stored in an object due to its position relative to other objects. So in theory, it's this energy that has the potential to then move into kinetic energy. And so what we want to do when we feel overwhelmed or overthinking things, what's happening is that we're putting our energy out into too many places. We're feeling fragmented because our thoughts are everywhere, and we quickly can get exhausted, and it can lead to headaches. So this is why meditation and journaling are so important, because it's a physical way, it's a mental way, it's an emotional way that we can gather all of that energy back into us, into one place. We can neutralize, and then we can decide where we want to direct it. Another definition in physics is energy is the ability to do work. And so when we look at kinetic energy, that is defined as energy in motion. So we want to gather all of our potential energy up. We want to put it in one place. And when we know where we want to go, when we're in that alignment, we can then use that kinetic energy to take all of it and move forward. And that object is in that moving state so that we want to be able to be in a direction that we want to go in. Both our thoughts and emotions are energy. And when you expend that energy in unnecessary thinking and holding on to unnecessary emotions, you lose the ability to apply in the direction that you want. It has taken me many years of wasting my own time and energy to truly understand this principle. And so that's why I think it's so important to break it down in this way and to help talk about this and explain it. So when we have a North Star and a strong sense of direction, no matter how much you know, you'll always be able to guide yourself. We're never, ever going to really know everything when we venture out. And that's the fun part of life. But we really have to have a sense of, a direction, a North Star, and where we want to go. And as long as our heart remains that navigational compass and not this overswelling of emotion, but really like, what is it that we truly desire? Where does the energy want to take us in the heart? Because it's such a big epicenter of energy, and have that compass guide us and task the mind to be a faithful servant to logically help us get there in practical ways, then we'll always stay in alignment and reduce that battle within. And so I also want to like mention that not all conflict is bad. We do actually benefit from having a little bit of conflict. We need help to determine, what is it that we really want? We need to be able to see all sides of things and to make the best decisions. But most of the time we get caught in the middle and we forget to take the higher perspective. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but it does actually get easier over time, because as you start to learn your nature, as you start to understand how to navigate with it, you're going to know the thoughts that come through that are intrusive. You're going to know when these feelings come up, because it's going to be the same. And you're going to know when to take a step back, be able to take a higher perspective and know, like, this is just what happens when you're getting out of your comfort zone. This is what happens when you feel fear. This is what happens when you start to get anxious over things that are just new and unknown. And you're going to know how to practice with it and how to move through it. So let's look at just some quick 5 steps, and really just some 5 steps with questions to ask yourself so that you can start to get in alignment and have a stronger alignment to dig deeper into your own wisdom so that you know your nature. So you might want to get a pen and paper and just jot some of this down so you can kind of journal. So the first step is to neutralize. And when you're neutralizing, start asking yourself, how can I be here now? How can I sit in the present moment and observe what comes up? How can I be a witness to this experience without reacting? Okay, that's really important. And then once you start to neutralize, you get into step 2, and you want to balance. And when you're balancing, you want to start asking yourself questions like, how am I able to see the bigger picture to why this conflict exists within me? Can I see why my emotions are here? What are they trying to tell me? What is it that I need? Can I understand my thoughts and why they're directing me in this way? So the third step is you want to start getting into your heart's desire and really tone into that internal compass. And this is also a really great practice to help you become more intuitive in your nature, so that you're really listening to those signs and signals because you're dialing into your compass. So step 3, heart's desire. And you want to ask yourself, what is it that I truly want to go after? What do I really want that would give me the most satisfaction? What would help me progress the furthest? And when you think about progressing in the furthest way, what would be the best for your growth? What would be the best experience? How would you take on the most experiential personal growth for yourself? Step 4 is a mindful strategy. So we're now connecting the heart to the head and we're building that alignment. And you want to ask yourself, where can I find solutions to make this situation better? We have a conflict, so we want to see how we can start building resolutions. And we're tasking the mind to go and make aware of solutions that need to be brought into our awareness. Another question you can ask, how can I bring this into my reality? Who can help me solve this problem? What steps do I need to take to make this happen? So we're casting the vision that we want, we're figuring out our heart's desire, and now we're using the mind to help strategize to get us to the place. Who can help us? How can we get there? How can we start bringing in solutions into our awareness? And then the last step, step 5, is to visualize the victory. And we want to be able to really think about and feel, and ask yourself, what does success look like that's in my best interest? How does success feel in my body that is satisfying? Am I able to release specific outcomes and enjoy the process? And the purpose for that question is, if I'm not so tied to the specific outcome, but I know a general direction I want to go in, and I allow myself to just flow with the way life flows, I will then not set up an expectation that will then possibly give me disappointment or frustration if that doesn't come through. Am I able to be flexible and allow the twists and turns of life? So even though I know I want to go in this direction, Like, what is the ultimate goal? And does it really matter all the different ways that I get there, just that I kind of get to this goal? And I know there's a cliche saying that the only way through is within, and that probably came from someone who has battled with themselves way too many times. But once you really learn how you're choosing to struggle, then you can choose another path. And so there really is something to that statement of the only way through is within, is helping you understand that everything that you need is really inside of you, and you're just, or we all are just sort of struggling with actually doing that thing that we really want to do. So I hope this video was helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments what your favorite takeaway was. How are you aligning your head and your heart together? How have you dealt with the battle within? I appreciate you being here. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye.